Well, this is the Left, Right, and Wrong podcast. How's everybody doing? We're doing great. Hey, that's awesome. I just listened to
Wonderful.
Steven, my brother-in-law, tell my darling sister that she was a worthless human being. And I'm sitting here, and I can't really disagree with him.
Wait, you thought I was talking to her?
Are you talking to me? You asshole.
You didn't think I was talking to my wife?
Oh, you were talking to your kid.
No, definitely talking to you.
Oh, fuck. Sad thing
Disappointed?
is well, not really. I didn't know what else to expect.
Par for the course,
Well, speak the truth, my friend.
as always.
Yep. So, anything happen? Anything interesting happen this week?
You mean in my life or like in the news?
We're not doing news today.
Oh, then no, not hugely interesting. Training for
Not
new
really.
stuff at work.
Yeah, it's
I'm
super interesting.
rebuilding a boat for a friend of mine. How about that? That interesting?
Ooh, you getting paid?
Yes and no. If you meant dollars, no. Um, it's a decent boat. He's just a bit of an idiot. Dane, if you ever listen to the podcasts, I'm sorry, you're an idiot. Um, so he's got a boat, but he doesn't know anything about boats or how to take care of them, like stuff you should be doing every 20 hours of runtime. He's had it for like 12 years. He's never done. So it's been sitting for like 2 years, not running. He says, "Hey, if I give you the boat and the money to fix it up, will you fix it up? Just donate your labor in exchange. You keep the boat at your house and basically treat it like it's your own. I'll keep the registration and the insurance up to date and pay for everything. Like you just send me the Amazon link for whatever you think the boat needs. I'll just buy it, ship it right to your house. You put it on, you take it fishing, take it whatever, anytime, and take the family out in it, go have a good time. Treat it like it's yours because at least then it will be ready if I ever do wish to use it, which he hasn't done so in like over 2 years. But, this way, if he ever did want to use it, it would actually be ready. So in return for my labor, I get basically a free boat.
All right. Well,
It's not a bad deal, and I'm mostly
nah,
finished with it now.
yeah,
I will
not bad at
probably have
all.
it on the water this weekend.
Oh, cool. All right, going fishing?
Probably, yeah.
That was a dumb question to ask you of all people.
Yep, that was a real dumb question.
Speaking of dumb questions, I had to take my car into Bell Tire to. I had to get new tires on the rear, and I had to get new struts, and I had to get my car aligned. All right, I had to spend over $600 to get my car ready because the rear end was fucked. And so I call them.
We're still talking about your car,
My
right?
car, yeah. So,
Oh, okay.
uh,
Thought maybe you were talking about you.
well, I did spend a night in jail, so it's nothing I'm not used to.
Wait, recently?
No, I got arrested when we lived in
Oh, okay.
Kansas.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That I knew about. I thought you meant like perhaps recently, and I was going to say, wow, we forget the boat. Let's talk about you.
No, it was so stupid. It was for a parking ticket I forgot to pay like 3 years prior. So, anyway, so I had to take my car in, and before I get there, I call because I had made an appointment, and after I got off the phone, I was like, I forgot to see who I was talking to. So I called again, and they're like, "This Bell Tire," and I was like, "Okay, Bell Tire." So I knew where they were, and for some reason, I had
And you hung up on him at that point,
no,
didn't you?
I for some reason I completely like lost my train of thought, had a total brain fart, and I was like, "Oh wait, hey, do you guys do tires?" And the guy on the other end of the phone call to Bell Tire says, yeah, we do tires all the time." And I was like, "Okay." Then I hung up. And then like 5 seconds later, the sheer magnitude of the dumb ass question I asked the guy at Bell Tire if he sold tires. The magnitude of it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, I should not have gotten out of bed today. I've asked a lot of stupid questions. I think that was the dumbest one
Ever?
ever.
Or like that day?
No, no, seriously, ever.
It is pretty dumb.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
All right. What do you think about a theme song? Should we start a theme song?
I thought we had a theme song.
We do have a theme song.
Didn't you write a theme? You told me you wrote a theme song.
Yeah. Have you listened to it yet?
No.
Shocker. Here's the theme song.
I'm offended by people like him when he takes Christ and exploits him with this crown of thorns and puts it up in Times Square.
You insulted my religion. I'm offended. You can't say that. Shut up, shut up, shut up.
Give me one damn program.
Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick of atheists diminishing Christian intellect.
The real question, what is God like?
Who is more irrational? The guy that believes in a God he doesn't see, or a guy who's offended by a God he doesn't believe in?
So I was going back and listening to some of our old episodes, and I realized in episode 2, after the theme song plays, I come in and I say, "Oh, it's look at our theme song. Don't you like our theme song?" And you lying piece of shit, you go, "Oh yeah, that's a great theme song."
Well, I was aware that you'd written it. I was just trying to be supportive.
Such
I thought we
support.
talked about the fact that I hadn't listened to it at that point. I thought I was being honest, but like, representing that I was a participating member in this.
I do not remember such a conversation. I can
Pretty sure I
neither
did.
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Sounds like you've been in court too many times.
Once, twice. They haven't found the bodies
I
yet.
plead the fifth. F-I-F. Fifth.
All right. Well, listeners, before we get started, I'm just going to let you know where you can find us. You can find us on Twitter at the LR... Blah, blah, blah. I can't even talk. At the LRW Podcast. Follow us. Send us a message. Let us know what you think of the show. Do you like it? Do you think we suck? I don't know. We don't know any of that. You're going to have to let us know. You can find us on YouTube. Our channel is called Frayed Not Productions, and that's FRAYEDKNOT Productions. You can find us on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Left Right Wrong Podcast. So, today we're going to do something a little bit differently. We're not going to go over any news stories. What I'm going to do is I'm going to interview Steven. We figured since we just kind of started with the news thing right out of the gate, we didn't really give any of you an idea of who we were and where we came from. So I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of delve into Steven's life this episode, and then next week he's going to interview me. So right now I have 7 questions, and I felt like they were loaded enough to where we could have a bit of a discussion about each one of them. So,
all right, I'm on the sofa. Do you have your pad and paper?
I'm sorry, what?
I said I'm on the sofa. Do you have your pad and paper? You can like write down my issues and doodle cats while you pretend to listen.
I have my little like word pad on my computer opened up.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right.
Wait, are you actually going to be taking notes?
No, but
Oh,
for some reason I was like, shit, am I supposed to be taking notes? So
you've opened WordPad.
no, I mean, I have the
such a
questions
tool.
typed out on WordPad right in front of me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I might take some notes just in case you say something, that I just have to, I don't know, tear into. I don't know. Anyway,
Epic? Is that what you were going to say?
epic. That is exactly what I was going to say.
I figured
So
that's what you were looking for.
yeah, I'm not good with the words. I'm not a wordsmith. So, all right. First question. How did you become a Christian?
Let's see. I like to think that because, let's just be clear, I believe God exists and that life as we know it exists due to some divine purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get a whole lot more detailed than that, and some people think that's vague. But yeah, it is, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that I am under the impression that I was born a Christian, having been born through a series of chaotic natural events, and generations and evolution and whatever, and it led to me. But I have the feeling that human life has some significance to God, and so I think that we are all born with this connection, and then we are shaped by our surroundings, if you will. And not entirely shaped, obviously. Certain things about us are predetermined, and some things aren't. But I like to think that I was born as being connected to God and lived in a world, family, groups of friends that all remained connected to God, and so it just became part of who I was from the environment that I lived in until the point, pardon me, until the point when I got to the cognizant ability to reason and to doubt and to learn from systematic thought processes that I really did believe on my own, regardless of what others taught me or told me or didn't tell me, and shaped my own faith out of that. But I like to think that I began as a being, a spiritual being, perhaps even before birth and maybe even after death. We'll find out. Well, I will, someday. But unless I just die, unless when you die you just die, and then I'm probably not gonna find out because I wouldn't realize it after.
I feel like you're gonna find out like a
Obviously.
split second right before you go. You're gonna be like, "Ah, it's all bullshit. Dang it!" And then flatline.
And then flatline.
Yeah. So okay, you said you were.
You're such an optimist.
I know. Well, that's why I became an atheist because I hate happiness, and I hate. I don't know where I was going with that. So, in
Pretty much sums up all the atheists I know.
we all hate happiness.
Just hate happiness.
Uh,
You go around murdering kittens.
well, have you ever seen Bill Maher's Atheist Agenda?
No.
Okay. It's a list. It's like the daily agenda of atheists, and it's like wake up, drink coffee, sacrifice children, murder kittens, sacrifice more children, drink the blood of a virgin, worship Satan, kill a Christian, go to sleep. I don't know. It's something ridiculous like that. So yeah, that's what I have to do every day.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, I'll get kicked out of the club if I don't. So
Gotcha.
anyway, so when you were talking, maybe I misheard you, but did you say you were born a Christian?
I feel like all people are born as spiritual beings in human bodies. And I don't want people to draw too many conclusions from that. I'm not talking anything about aliens or animal souls or any of that dumb stuff, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even touching on those ridiculous topics. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just not even going there, so don't draw any of that.
Okay.
I feel like human life has purpose. It has purpose given and value given to it from a divine sentient being that we refer to as God. That being said, I think that when you come into this world, you have not experienced evil or anger or hatred, and the only experience that you have had up until this point would be if you have a soul predestined or preformed before the body, that would be the only experience you have. Like there are cultures in this world, Indian tribes, which have not been contacted by modern culture at all, and perhaps by other cultures for thousands of years. And everywhere that modern man goes exploring, and we find new and undocumented cultures and lifestyles and tribes and things,
Mm.
everybody has a god. Everybody. It's like a desire that is inborn in humanity to find out where we came from and why it matters. And I think that that portion of us is something that predates our physical selves as we know it. And so I think that if it all does come from God, then you are born like Him. And being that I am a Christian, then it stands to reason that my belief is that we are born in as close as we can be a form like Christ. And the word Christian literally means Christ-like. So I believe that I am born a Christian originally. And then I live in this world, and it changes you, and it leads you further from where you were born based on your experiences. And that at some point you make a decision that either you wish to return to that state and you find it to be the best expression of who you are, or you decide that you wish to depart from this state. In my very humble opinion, passing no judgment on anyone, I think that those who choose to part from that state either never experienced it very much when they were young, they had a chaotic household or lifestyle, whatever it may have been, that left them significantly changed very quickly. And then others, I think, that would have poor experiences and leave a bitter taste in their mouth and perhaps turn them off from the idea of a benevolent or loving creator altogether, and seeking to break from their past, choose that as the deepest point of their past and break from it.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I
So
should be in politics.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know.
Build a wall.
I make great walls. Everybody agrees. I'm gonna make a fantastic wall.
I'm gonna make a fantastic wall. That guy loves himself so much.
Oh man. Just
He
imagine.
really does.
Just imagine if he becomes president. He's gonna masturbate so much.
You think he does it now?
No, I think it's gonna be more effective and more often. I think he's
More
gonna.
effective?
Yeah, I think right now he has
being
troubles.
that it is
because-
masturbation, it is
No.
like the epitome of ineffective.
No, I mean like
It's gonna be more effective.
right now he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be president. I really want to be, but I don't know if I'm gonna be this. So he's stressed. He's got things on his mind. As soon as he becomes president, he's gonna take his presidential portrait into his bathroom, and he's gonna be shooting loads like crazy.
That's a very vivid picture you paint.
I'm glad I could paint that picture. So, moving on.
Thank you.
So, you mentioned that everybody has a god. And
All societies, yeah, come up with some version of a
okay.
deity for themselves.
Okay, so all societies.
Yeah. Well, I
Okay.
mean, if you choose not to have one, you can choose not to have one. But
Well, okay. Well, I'm
people
gonna.
look for truth and reality.
Okay. So, you have a family who's not particularly religious. All right. They live on the side of a mountain. They live off the land. All right. They never talk about God, and they have a child. This child grows up never knowing anything about any religion. Only thing he knows is the natural world around him. Has no preconceived notions about any sort of higher power or anything. I would say that kid does not have God. And if he asks his parents questions about where the world come, or, what are stars made of, and they give him 100% scientific answers, I think the first person that kid meets who says, have you ever heard about God? He's the guy that made everything. I think that kid would think that person is crazy. So the idea that everybody has a God and that some people choose not to have one, for me personally, my path to atheism started when I was young, when I was really young. And
That's an interesting saying you've just coined there.
my
Your
path,
path to atheism,
I didn't coin it. It's
meaning
been
that you
said.
started somewhere outside of atheism and went that direction.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say
So,
it's a choice.
lack
It
of a
was,
God was not the starting point, it was your ending point.
well, yeah, but I don't know.
Did somebody force atheism on you, Andy?
I
So it was a choice.
no, okay, but no, I wouldn't say it's a choice. It was because it got to a point where I was like, do I really believe in this? The answer was no. But it wasn't am I choosing not to believe in this? Is no, I can't believe in it because none of it makes any sense to me. Because even
That's
when
a
I
debate
was
for another day.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyway, that was just my my analogy about a family on the side of a mountain. That's my long drawn out way of saying that I don't believe that everybody has a God.
In response to that, first of all, what kind of parents living on the side of a mountain without ever contacting anybody else ever are going to have all the scientific answers to everything? Never going to happen. So you might as well be like, what if some fairies lived with a bunch of elves, and then these hobbits showed up with a ring and were like, we need to destroy it. They just beat him up and took it from him. I mean, honestly, you can make up whatever crazy scenario you want, but if you look at where we live on Earth, people look around, especially those with less contact. They look around and see this enormous, complex, crazy world. And they
Bless you.
wonder where it came from. They wonder where they came from. And they have to draw some conclusions from that. And they can understand that in the world they live in, they may be the strongest, the smartest. They're top of the food chain. They're as good as it gets, as big as it gets. They don't know anybody better than my tribe. We're as powerful as it gets in my world. But I can't make it. I cannot create it. I cannot be the origin for it. And so there has to be something greater than us out there. And the more you look, explore, more humans go, okay, I'm getting my head wrapped around things here, but there's still something missing. No matter what level of thinking you're at, you're still missing something. Stephen Hawking likes to pretend he's not missing something. He never has all the answers. He guesses at all sorts of stuff.
Well, yeah, that's true. He doesn't have all the answers, but I think the difference between a lot of Christians and Stephen Hawking is Stephen Hawking isn't shoving the word God into that negative space. I think that's what a lot of Christians do, is they get to a point where it doesn't make sense anymore and they say, well, that's kind of where God takes over, which is what scientists have done for a long time. Isaac Newton did it. I want to say even Einstein did it. But those negative spaces where things didn't make sense to those incredible scientists have now been explained. And Neil deGrasse Tyson actually talks about this, and he says that in his mind, looking at this and looking how past scientists have used God to explain things that they can't, He equates God to an, I can't remember his exact wording, but I think he says an ever shrinking vacuum of knowledge. I could have totally butchered that. But
It's okay. For a man who considers himself God, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, I'm sure that helps him feel better. I have to be honest. There is nobody going to be able to explain how the Big Bang occurred and what existed before it. We can break it all the way down to Planck time. Planck time, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know what it is, go look it up. There's a pile of research to be had there, hours and hours and years of reading.
I'll give you
We can break it down.
I'll give you the very short answer as far as Planck time. It's the shortest amount of time possible.
I was going to say, if you say teeny tiny, I'm going to come through this phone and choke you to death.
It is a teeny tiny amount of time.
That's it. You're a dead man.
Also, a Planck length is the shortest distance possible, or the shortest distance possible.
Planks are tiny, apparently. That's the
Teeny
teeny
tiny.
We're talking about basically inexpressible tiny amounts of time. You would think of Planck time from the time of the initial Big Bang to Planck time 1.0 at the speed of way beyond light, and particles are moving at insane rates at incredible levels of mass and velocity. We can even look at all of that scientifically. But what was it 2 Plancks ago? 2 Planck time ago. What was it?
Mm.
We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
How did the universe exist in a singular point?
Well, first of all, we don't know at this point in time, but if you think about the kind of science that we're doing, we haven't been doing it for very long. I mean, humans have been on the earth for like 100,000 years, and maybe for the last 1,000 years, we've been doing some actual, real, legitimate, hard science. And just in the
So you
last
think you're
100
going to
years,
find scientific evidence about what happened before the explosion?
I think with mathematical models and stuff like that, physical models, I think we could gather enough evidence to give us an idea of what happened. I mean, there are already theories about what happened before.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just waiting on either mathematical models or physical models to either confirm or prove those wrong. But I mean, there's all sorts of things that we know now that I'm sure 10, 15, 20 years ago people said we are never going to know how that works. You know, I mean,
Sure.
we're NASA's in talks about they're working on an engine that doesn't use any fuel. The only thing, it's like a gravity pulse engine or something like that.
That's been theorized for over 100 years now.
Yeah, but think about 150 years ago. They would have said there's no way that's possible, or there's no way we can figure out how to do that.
Yeah,
And now
there's
we're
no way
figuring
we
it
could
out.
figure out how to do that. Doesn't make it any less possible, sure.
And as far as like what happened before the Big Bang, I mean, you and I might not find out in our lifetime, but I'm positive that somebody's going to figure it out. Might be another 100,000 years from now, but if the physics are there, we'll figure it out.
Were the physics there before the Big Bang?
Well, I don't know. Nobody knows. That's the thing. Nobody knows yet. All right. Hey, I'm going to move on to my next question.
Fine.
All right. Sorry. Half an hour in, and that was just the first question, how you became a Christian. So
You're probably going to have to cut some of that up.
this is going to be a 3.5 hour long podcast. All right. So the second question, how does your faith affect your daily life?
Well, I guess that's kind of a hard question to answer, because I think that my faith is ingrained in who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't go through my life moment by moment thinking, what would Jesus do? Like, that is very much not the expression of a mature Christian. It's my faith is simply part of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of my personality. It has shaped my personality. It has shaped my responses, my empathy. And so I think that through my day-to-day life, I don't see that it has an effect because it just feels like me. This is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But I am who I am because of my faith. That is a big part of me. So
Do you
in
live
one
near?
way, it doesn't affect my daily life at all, and in another way, it affects everything about my daily life, and it forms my daily life.
Do you live next to a train?
Uh, there is about a mile or so between us and the train tracks. The
Is there a
windows are
train?
open in my bedroom.
Oh, so that's why I can hear the train. Okay.
That's why you can hear the train.
All right. Well, toot toot. All right.
It's not registering on my Audacity though, so you should be good.
Okay. Man, that's so weird. I could hear it over the phone. So, all right. So, do you believe in hell? Or would you consider yourself an annihilationist?
Annihilationist.
Yes.
Man,
That is the belief. Do you know what that is?
bringing out the heavy. Yeah, I know what that is.
Okay,
Why don't
okay,
you
I'm
go ahead
sorry.
and tell our vast audience of listeners what that is?
Yes, I will tell all four of them. You and I being two of
We have
those.
4 people listening.
Let's see. Our first episode got, I think it peaked out at around 36 views. And I swear to God, 7 of those were from me showing people. So,
Nice.
let's see. Our second one, I think, only got 4 or 5 views. Episode 3, I think, got like 12
This is getting
views.
depressing. Move on.
It's pretty sad. That's why listeners, listen, you two people, start sharing us, man. All right.
Unless you're embarrassed that you listen to it and then don't.
Nobody's embarrassed. No, nobody's embarrassed. You're not embarrassed. Are you embarrassed?
That's because I don't listen to it.
Oh my God.
You're what?
This is anyway.
Did you
So
just admit to having a god? I think you did.
no, I did not.
I heard that. I heard it very distinctly.
I took his name in vain, quite on purpose.
Whose name?
That anyway, annihilationism is the belief.
Such a girl.
Shut up. Annihilation is a belief that after you die, if you're going to heaven, that's awesome. But if not, you have like one of two options. You either go to a hell-like place for a short amount of time, however long is necessary to get you to understand, hey, what you did was wrong. Or if you're just a totally evil dude, you just cease to exist. So it's either heaven or nothing. Which I guess is kind of backed by John 3:16 saying that you will not perish. Well, going to hell for all eternity isn't exactly perishing.
I suppose you could read it, you will not be annihilated.
Exactly. I want to think that if
Okay,
God's
now
real,
you have
I want to think that if God's real, he has the same voice as the announcer guy from Mortal Kombat. That would be
Really?
that would make me a Christian.
I was thinking more like Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman is God. Have you not seen a movie in forever?
Repeatedly.
I think he's played God like 8 times.
The last movies I saw with Morgan Freeman, he was Secretary of State in Olympus Has Fallen.
Oh God.
And he was Lucius Fox in the Batman movie.
Oh yeah.
Very good with Lucius Fox, by the way.
Oh yeah. Agreed. So, hell, do you believe in hell?
Hell. I suppose that depends on your definition of hell. There are probably more beliefs surrounding what happens when you die than what you should do while you're alive. So I'm going to address, let's say, lake of fire. Everything's on fire. Satan's on a giant red rock laughing while you all burn.
Fire
I
and
don't
brimstone.
think that's probably accurate. I'm going to go with no on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Just from evidence, if you believe that the Bible has any truth in it, just from reading in that, you can realize that if hell is a place, Satan is most certainly not in charge of it. He just also happens to be there suffering
Mm-hmm.
like everybody else because it just plain sucks. But I believe that there is a heaven. I do not know what it consists of. I do not know where it is. I don't know how to get there. Don't think you can order Domino's. But if you can't, I'm going to be a little disappointed because their pizza's pretty banging. But
Dominoes?
as much as I also believe that there is a heaven, I also believe that there is going to be a very large number of people who don't necessarily make it. And I don't know what that ratio is going to be. I don't know.
What
I don't
do
know what
do you think it would
criteria
be?
gets you in. I
Do you
don't know.
do you think it would be most people won't make it to heaven, or most people will? And
Pretty sure
this.
I just said I don't know what the ratio is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think you said that
You were
while
busy interrupting.
I know I was trying to cut you off while you were saying that. I'm sorry. So
I don't know. Part of me goes, well, the Bible's pretty clear on this stuff. And then the other part of me goes, well, it was people who wrote the Bible. So I'm kind of looking at it as I cannot imagine that I am more forgiving or more understanding of the human condition than God is. I cannot
mhm,
believe that I am more forgiving and loving than God is. I have a hard time believing that. And
mhm,
so I can look at myself and think, personally, if I were God, if someone took the time to realize that they are not the purpose for their life, they are not the epitome of their life, that there is something beyond themselves, something
mhm,
beyond what you can have in a way, and spends significant time or thought contemplating that, looking for that, trying to find truth. And in all of these quote unquote religions, you end up finding that people focus on others and giving, loving, taking care of people, and self sacrifice. These are all common themes, these religions. And I don't really care. This is me acting as God. I don't really care what they call me because I did not tell them personally what my name is. They have stories that other people have told. They have traditions and things. I never went down to Andy Coons and said, "Hey, my name's Jim, by the way, so you have to call me Jim or I'm going to set you on fire for all time." So I really don't know how that works because if I'm looking at other religions, there are core principles and intents in almost all religions that I would see as very beneficial to humanity, to culture, to the people and those around them, and can appreciate that. And the intent was to find God, the creator, source, the power, whatever people want to call it, and do your best to do what God would want. So I see a lot more people getting in if I make the rules than if most everybody else that I attend church with makes the rules. Let's put it that way. So I cannot imagine that I am more understanding, loving than God. So I'm hoping that a vast majority of people make it in because in their hearts they wish to be good people and they try to be good people. I'm afraid that there are a good number of people who lived their lives just for self, and that will probably be the one thing that could damn you to an existence of separation from God, which is really what I believe people are referring to when they say hell. Hell is more of it's more of an analysis of condition, an opinion of the place. But I'm going to go
Or
with
a
if
state of being.
you die, and there's one place where you can go where God is physically present, and you have no pain, and take on some other body or spiritual awareness. I don't know what that is. Let's not get into specifics because no one's going to be right. Period. Nobody. I don't care. No one.
Mm-hmm.
But if such a place exists, and I believe that it does, because otherwise it's pointless, then I believe that there's also a place without any of that. And a place without any of that will be a place suffering lack of the light, lack of positivity, lack of goodness. There's none of the positives there. There's no God there. There is no camaraderie there. It's bleak.
An atheist utopia.
All by yourself.
Don't wanna be. All right. Well, that's a good answer. Actually, I really like that.
You were expecting that I would just be like, yeah, it's on fire.
I was kind of hoping.
Haven't you seen pictures?
Um,
Satan will be laughing.
Actually, if hell's real, I hope I get to meet Robot Satan. That would be awesome.
Does he still do a song and dance?
Oh man, with his 400-pound golden violin.
Oh my goodness. Remember the time he traded hands, Bender?
Yes.
That was the best.
Oh,
I'm sorry for
I gotta
that.
watch
That was a
Futurama
reference
now.
from Futurama. For anybody who's listening, first of all, thank you. Second of all, if you haven't watched Futurama, you need to go sit down and do some serious rethinking of your life. Fantastic.
Seriously, watch every episode of the show. We will wait.
No. After the 4 movies things that they made, the Beast with a Billion Backs and Bender's Big Score and blah blah blah. Anyway, after those, you can stop watching. Most of those are not very good. The new ones,
but,
I don't like that much.
Oh, the new episodes?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the new ones.
Yeah, just don't. It kind of ruins it.
That sucks. All right. So let's hear about the infamous MNU pamphlet.
All right. First of all, it was not much of a pamphlet. It was a paper. It was like 15 pages. And it was a paper.
That is one hell of a pamphlet.
It's a paper that I wrote for a class. And the class was that? I think it was systematic theology. I went to a religious institution and I studied religion. Ta-da! Weird. Strangely, very little of that has anything to do with my faith. But I digress. Go ahead, Andy.
This is one of my favorite stories that you've ever told me. So I just wanted to throw this out there.
Well, it really.
I wanted to make sure this made it on the podcast someday.
I would regret telling you that as soon as it came out of my mouth. It really started weeks before in a class where we were talking about the visions of the Testament prophets. And we were talking about Daniel and the statue and the different metals and parts of the statue. And if you don't know anything about it, that's fine. It's got different parts, and people try to interpret what they meant. Some people were comparing the different parts, the gold and the silver and the bronze or whatever, to Babylon and to the Romans, the Armenians, and the different groups that overtook Israel, and the statue was destroyed, and it means they're all free. And then there were other people who were slightly more creative and tried to compare the statue to lots of different things. And some of them were all the way to like, it's the US and China and Russia. And at that point you're kind of giggling about it, but they could draw as close a parallel as anybody else, except for me. I let me put this. I used mine analyze the different cultures of our society involving religion, and then went on to draw parallels of all of the other prophetical works, including the beast that rises out of the ocean and the Antichrist, um, and I ended up declaring, almost mockingly, it's not my personal opinion, but almost mockingly, that the Pope, the friggin' Pope, would be the Antichrist. A leader of men, the harlot who sits on 7 hills. To my knowledge, the only city in the world built on 7 hills is the Vatican. That there are, well, there's so many parallels. I can't even begin to tell you. We would be here all night. It would be a 3.5-hour podcast. So do your own research if you feel like it. But everything fits creepily well. Like it's it's really weird. But I declared all this almost as a joke, like kind of mocking people's efforts to read into something so subjective and vague and try to come up with some really solid facts about it. Like they really thought they were going to figure it out. Which is just a hilarious presumption to me. Just dumb. So anyway, the dean of the university was a very good friend of mine, and his name is Frank Moore. Very good guy. And it wasn't even his class. Okay, this was somebody else's class. But anyway, Frank called me to his office like the next week and goes, "What did you do?" I was like, "What do you mean? Which time?" And he's like, "I'm getting letters from parents worried that you're the Antichrist and you're trying to corrupt their children,
Oh my god.
that you're mocking Catholicism and religion in general, and they want me to expel you or they're going to pull their children out of the university." And I was like, wow, what a bunch of weak-minded sissies. I mean, I know one kid cried in the class, but he was just like a hardcore Easter Catholic. So, it kind of destroyed his world. Whatever. I'm sure he's still alive. Probably didn't end it right then and there that evening, but it's not on me, I swear. So anyway, I began to look at this culture of you all have to believe the same thing, you all have to say the same thing. Most of the kids in that university were raised in churches that promote that university and help pay for and fund the university, and they all went to churches that taught the curriculum of that particular denomination. This is the Nazarene Church, by the way. Andy is familiar with that. The Nazarene Church, they have Sunday school and then regular church, and then they have like an evening service church, and then they have like a Wednesday night church, and then they have like home groups where like you can teach your kids all these really sound notions of creationist theory and how the world's only like 8,000 years old or something. Anyway, it's not really that bad, but point is, if you want to play sports, they have sporting leagues just between Nazarene churches. You want to have social events, they have social events just between Nazarene churches. They have their own schools, they have high schools, they have grade schools, they have colleges. You can literally live your life inside that church. So we had this one assignment that was to break down and analyze a well-known cult to our fellow students. People were looking at things like Jehovah's Witness for some of the really creative ones. Idiots. Other people were looking at, like the Hale-Bopp Comet cults and things like that, and craft and voodoo and all sorts of different things, and trying to break it down and like, this is what makes it a cult. Here's the the brainwashing, the doctrinization, and here's the lifestyle changes, and there's always this big focus on community, and you're all us and nobody else, and don't talk to other people, and like the Amish, avoid everybody and believe what we believe. So anyway, I wrote my paper about this ridiculous group of humans who come together, and they decided, that they're going to take these people's names and put them down as references for their beliefs, and then choose some stuff that really didn't apply to those people at all, and probably would have pissed those people off had they known. And then they decided that that was going to be their religion, their set of rules. They were going to form churches, traveling groups to go around and recruit others, and they were going to have kids and raise them believe this and only this, send them to schools where they would teach them this, and then they would send them to other schools where they would teach them more of this. And when the kids got curious about doing other things, they would put them into sporting programs that would only be with other children who believe the exact same thing, because they all got taught the curriculum that was sent out by one large office in the Midwest, in Kansas City, lo and behold, headquarters. And then, like, in the last 2 pages of the paper, like, it was extremely convincing at this point that this was a hardcore cult. They had all the symptoms of a cult. They really, really reeked of a cult, but I hadn't named it at that point. And so everybody had read this, and then at the end, I kind of just brought it back to just name it that was the Nazarene Church, and that was the biggest cult I could think of, and the one that everybody would know the best. Now, again, part of me was just jesting that cults are defined by people who aren't in the group. So if you try to think of yourself from outside of the group, bingo clubs could be cults, for crying out loud. They fit the criteria, don't they? Anyway,
Right.
so I was laughing about this, and it was mainly a poke in the eye at all the spoon-fed, bottle-fed Christians out there who believe what they read, and they believe what their pastor says, and they never question a thing. They don't have beliefs of their own. They only have what was given to them, because to them, this is like it was a huge deal. So anyway, people in the class were extremely upset because we had to turn them in and judge each other's work and all this stuff. People in the class were extremely upset. They complained to the dean, which didn't bother me at all. But then some idiot, who shall remain nameless, it was me. Yeah, I went and made copies, like 30 copies, and I put a few in all of the lobby areas around the university campus, and I made it like an informational packet for people to read, so that they would be informed of this cult, so that they wouldn't be tempted to stray, and to make sure and stay away from this cult. And again, a lot of really angry people, really angry parents, who they paid good money to send their kids to a good, upright Nazarene university, and you got the Antichrist in there teaching them all that they're part of a cult and go off and worship Satan. And of course, none of that stuff was really in there. And if they were sharing half a brain between the two parents, they wouldn't be yelling about it. But that obviously is not the case in a lot of places. So they were very upset. They tried to get me expelled. Luckily, the dean understood what I was doing and was like, "We need to put your thought process to better use." And so we came up with side projects and different things that I would do. But yeah, that was the pamphlet. It was a sarcastic poke in the eye at stupid religious people who believe what they believe because someone told them to, and that sounded nice to them. And I hate that.
that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to do the podcast with you, because whenever I came up with the idea, I was like, I want somebody who's not okay. I was like, I either want a hardcore fundamental creationist, or I want somebody who can actually think outside of the constructs like you and I grew up in.
There is
And
no spoon.
exactly. And I thought of that pamphlet and I was like, I have to ask Steven. So, going back to those constructs that I just mentioned, what was your childhood like in terms of your faith?
Well, I went to the church. I did not go to a Christian school, public school. My parents were
Bet you did
believers.
drugs, huh?
No. My parents were believers, but they always made it a point to never share their faith with me as something that I should believe. And if I had questions about something that I had heard, they were very receptive to that and very open to say, well, that's a very personal thing. And it's not something for me to tell you what to believe. You need to hold on to that idea, that thought, and then as you grow up, you need to look at that, the different lenses that you get from dealing with this, to look at that and decide for yourself where you land on that issue. Because if I tell you what to believe, then it's not faith, it's obedience. And that is something that I only want in a parent child relationship. And I don't want to have anything to do with spiritual relationship. If you choose to have one, they never forced it on me. They did force me to go to events at church. Now, I say that, but they would have if I didn't want to go. But like all of my good friends at church, we had a great time. I still spend a lot of time with the people that I grew up with in the church. My local church that I went to growing up, I literally mean those people. I know I live near several of them. We spend time together. We were all together the other evening for one of our friends' birthday parties. We told stories about, oh Lord, everything. I'm sorry, I was mocking Lynn Hoffman because I just realized the other night that I took both his sister and his now wife to senior prom. So that was a fun memory. But I would say in terms of
What was
my
his name?
Lynn Hoffman, he's a fantastic guy. He's
You
also
go.
enormous. I would never say anything bad about Lynn or anybody he loves. Those two ladies are wonderful. We went as friends. I was a perfect gentleman. Still couldn't dance, but there it is.
Oh, you danced? You were a terrible
I
Nazarene.
tried. I honestly, if there's a heaven, I think that there's going to be like a remedial dancing course for Nazarenes on entering, like Heaven Celebration 101. They'll be like, "Oh, you're Baptist, so do you feel like you need to take it? Okay, no, that's cool. You're Nazarene, please turn to the right, go through the green door. Nope, Nazarenes,
Before
green
you do
door.
so, please pull your head out of your
You are
ass
not allowed
and fucking.
to progress without the green door." Anyway, so as far as my childhood goes, I was impressed upon by people, um, but I have to be honest. My parents were always very open to the fact that faith is something that you find for yourself and that it's not something that you'll likely find at a young age. And if you feel like you have at a young age, it's probably just naivete and that you wait and hang on to that. And I'm a little convinced that that there is no age at which I will be like, now I have the right faith. Now I am a complete person and I can understand it. I'll probably die and be like, if I could just had tomorrow, I'd understand it a little better. But I think that's part of the purpose behind all of it
Mm-hmm.
is
Right.
grow, continue to grow, to seek truth, to find truth, to build on that truth. And I think that if you spend your life doing that, you will find it. I don't think that takes everybody to the same place, but I think you'll
Right.
find what you're
Well,
looking for.
I mean, it's taken me to a different place than a lot of the people that I grew up with. Because I mean that's one thing about me. Whenever I became an atheist, it had nothing to do with being angry at the church or being angry at the idea of God or anything. And it's not like I was angry at my parents, because unlike you, I was never given a choice about what to believe in or when to go to church or anything like that. And but surprisingly, there isn't much angst about that. Oh,
P.S. I really
Did
I can't buy it
can't buy what?
that you don't have any angst about your father being a minister and forcing you to go to church and telling you what to believe.
Oh, I have a hell of a lot of angst about my dad, but I don't know. I don't think that had any. I don't think that me becoming an atheist was directly related to that.
I think if you honestly
Uh,
believe it's not related, then you are fooling yourself, or you are saying that and like turning a blind eye to it. Because I honestly believe that had a significant effect in pushing you away from all belief, period. Because you wanted to cut that down. Because I think, I mean, I have heard some of your angst about your father, and I mean, I can understand where you're coming from a lot of the time. I really do. Um, I just think it had a lot more to do with it than you're willing to admit, because I think it probably still hurts, if we're honest.
well, I mean, there is there is hurt there. Holy shit, this is getting deep. There is some hurt there, but whenever, I mean, I can tell you exactly what happened the day I became an atheist. My wife and I and our kids, we were driving from Kansas to Michigan. It was the day we moved back to Michigan. And I was driving, and there was some music playing, everything was quiet, and I was just sitting there staring at the highway, and there had been these things that I had been dealing with, uh, in terms of, you know, how can I make these certain beliefs that I have now fit with what I know about scripture and what I know about Christianity, and one of those things was homosexuality. And I know that all kinds of Christians out there have their ways of saying, well, you don't really have to pay attention to that part of the Bible. Or if you read this, but then you read this other verse, but then you read this other verse, then, you can kind of realize that blah, 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 homosexuality isn't a sin. But for me, that was one thing that I really struggled with, because I had lots of gay friends and I cared deeply for them. I loved them to death. And I just couldn't justify a God who would create somebody that way and then turn around and send them to hell. Because it's explicit in the Bible that it's a sin.
Okay? So's lying.
So, say, what?
So's lying.
Okay.
So's cheating on your taxes.
Okay.
If the fact that you sin sends you to hell, nobody's going.
Okay. In the Old Testament, it commands people to stone homosexuals to death. It said it's detestable to God. But in the science that we know now, we know that it's genetic. It's not a choice. It's not something that anybody has a choice for. I mean, and I've talked to my gay friends about this and said, and they've told me, if this was a choice, I'd be straight, because even 10 years ago, being gay was, I mean, it wasn't as accepted as it is now.
Right. I've always been
So
of
if
the
God
mind.
creates you that way, I'm sorry, what?
I've always been of the mind that God does not take an active hand in someone's genetics, DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what we talked about in episode 1, how my personal feelings are like kin to bowling.
God's a really good
you
bowler.
You could run down there and just knock them all down with your hands and be like, strike. Or you could have a very good idea, knowledge of the ball, the lane, and how things are going to work and how things are going to go, and you put the ball in motion at a speed and velocity, at a certain vector and spin, and it ends up knocking all 10 pins down. And that's us. But because of that, there is a lot of things in this world which are less than perfect. There are natural occurrences which I believe are less than perfect. There are genetic things that are less than perfect. There is disease, there is famine, there is war. If there is a God, these things are definitely less than perfect. So I refuse to believe that God made someone gay, because I think that that is just like God made me have brown eyes. How dare you? How dare you make me have brown eyes? You did this on purpose. If there was a law that said brown eyed people go to hell, I'd be like, well, that sucks. But at the same time, I'd be like, I don't think that God would have made me that way. It's just part of chaos. It's part of genetics. It's who we are, the environment that you're in, how things work out for you. I don't believe that God made anybody gay, and I don't like the fact that people look at homosexuality as evil or a sin.
Mhm.
I said it to when I was up on the plaza. Remember the store I had on the plaza? My assistant James was really, really gay. Great guy. I miss James, honestly. Often. But we were talking about it, and I remember the first day I was like, dude, I gotta level with you. At some point, something's gonna happen, and I'm gonna be like, that is so gay, and I need to know that you're not gonna like turn me in. And he was like, ugh. He was like, seriously? Oh my goodness. And just left, and I was like, am I in trouble here? And so like later on that day, I did something stupid. I can't remember what it was. Probably plenty of things I could have done. And he goes, ugh, that is so straight, and walked off. And that was his attitude about it. Like he was very, very cool. Anyway, we spent
Uh-huh.
at great length talking about this and how he had a good relationship with his dad and everything was normal, and this was just who he was. Like how I feel that I'm a Christian, that I'm a person originated in some form with a connection to God. He doesn't really even disagree with that, and was like, but at the same time, I also feel like I like men, and it's the same kind of depth of it's just who I am. It doesn't feel like anything external. It doesn't. I can't find any indicators that would have pointed me that direction. I just like boys, and came right down to it. And I was like, I had to be honest. If I felt about men the way I feel about women, I'd be gay. I mean, I'd live that life. I feel strongly about women, and specifically my wife. And if I felt about a man the way I feel about my wife, I'm sorry, I'd be gay. There would just be no alternative. It's just part of who I am. I cannot help it. I cannot help but love her. Try as she might, I still do. So that's all a very confusing topic to me, and I'm completely okay with saying I don't have the answers. If it is a sin,
For
then I would say you're all a bunch of liars and you cheat on your taxes and on your spouses and you lie all the time and you hate and you're jealous and you're bigots and you're greedy. Why are you judging other people sinning differently than you do? Because that's all it really is. If it's a sin, they're just doing it
well,
different than you are.
mhm.
How dare you? Everyone should sin like me.
I don't know. For me, that was just the first stepping stone, and I mean, whenever we were driving up to Michigan, the question I asked myself I was like, do I really, really believe in this? And I couldn't bring myself to say yes. Like, it just doesn't.
So your choice was to
And
reject all of it.
I mean, like I said before, I wouldn't even say that it was a choice. I couldn't bring myself to accept it anymore. So I answered no. And then I got really apathetic and bitter and angry for everything. That's what atheists do.
Sounds kind of hopeless.
Yep. Sad life, an atheist. Sad, sad,
What you
sad.
get for strangling kitten. So anyway, did you have any other questions for me?
I had two more. But you know, it's been going on for over an hour, and I think you and I got some really good
Let's
dialogue
do
in there.
one more.
One more question.
One more question.
Okay, I'm going to give you a choice.
Okay.
Question 1 is your faith the source of your morals? Question 2 is how did you meet your wife?
Okay, well I answer them both, but I'm going to answer them in backwards order. I met my wife at well, I first saw her at Elk City Lake celebrating her 17th birthday. And
how old were you?
I'd have been 19. And I
Okay,
totally tried to creep
so it was
on her.
illegal.
It was, well, we weren't having sex. So, looking at a 17-year-old wasn't illegal. Besides, I'm pretty sure if they're a minor but you're under 21 and it's consensual, it's okay, depending on the state. I don't know. It's confusing. It's weird.
Long story
Anyway.
short, you molested my sister.
No. I tried to go looking for her.
You tried to.
And I accidentally, I was trying to look for that jet ski because you guys had the jet skis then, and I was looking for that jet ski because I saw her right
yeah.
off on it, and then I went and found that jet ski. And I was like, oh wow, this is not the person that I was looking at earlier. It was Geraldine, who was 9, and I was like, that's not who I was. Oh, forget it. So anyway, and then I ran into your sister.
You look really young for a 17-year-old.
I ran into your sister the following 3 days later at a camp at Camp Sagmont, which to this day, if I win the lottery, I am buying that place. It is mine. But anyway,
Oh, please do.
I ran into her there. Dude,
I'll
are
work for
kidding?
you.
Oh, the hill, the spring, the pools. It could be such an amazing.
Dude, the crawdads.
Dude,
the crawdads.
Dude, the cave. Think about it.
Bacon on a string. Oh my god, the cave.
I will have a bat cave.
Bat cave.
Oh my god. Dude, I just want to go on another badass crawdad hunt with string and beef jerky.
You are from the south.
That is it. No, dude, that's not a southern thing. That is a Joplin district thing. Anybody here is in the Joplin district. You know what the hell I'm talking about.
Okay, so going back to your other question, is my faith the source of my morals? I would say, if we looked at my earlier answer about my faith affecting my life or how I became a Christian, it's sort of just who I am. I feel like I was never really separated from that and have chosen to pursue that as a lifestyle, and it makes me a better person, I believe. You'd have to take a poll to find out for sure, but people seem to like me pretty well. So I'm going to say that my faith would not necessarily be the source of my morals. I think because of how deeply
But do you feel like it kind of amplifies it?
I think because of how deeply ingrained it was in me as a person, that it's going to affect all of my life, including my morals. But I think the source of my morals is really just like a deep-seated sense of humanity. I am part of this world and the people in it, and I have a responsibility to those people. We are one people, and we live in this world together, and treat others less than myself is selfish and to me detestable on a very personal level, having nothing to do with faith. To treat others as less than yourself is, I think, as low as it gets. And I just got to be honest. I think that is the source of my morality, is my deep-seated personal feelings about what it is to be a human and what your responsibilities are as a human. There are certain things that are just expected, and there are certain things that are absolutely unacceptable. I don't care who you are or what happened to you. Child molesters, be killed. I'm just saying. Okay, maybe not killed. I'm just saying there is no way, shape, or form that that can be okay. And I don't think that has anything to do with my religion. I don't believe that was anywhere in the Bible at all. So I'm going to say that that one has nothing to do with my religion. And I would say that that just comes from a sense of being incredibly human, knowing my flaws, strengths, what we're capable of, and what we're guilty of. Because there is very, very vast ocean of both things.
That's a good answer.
Thanks. Try to be a good person.
All right. A good deal. I was hoping for you to say pretty much the opposite, because I was gonna be like, then what happens if you take God away, you serial killer? But no, I couldn't do that. So, man, well, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this is our 4th episode. I think this is our best episode so far.
What you're
What
trying
do
to
you
say
think?
is that the more we talk about me, the better it gets.
That's, well, now it is.
Ta-da! Well, and if we're
Yeah.
honest, we probably spend as much time talking about you as we did me.
That might actually be our 3.5 hour long podcast.
Oh, man.
But that's because that doesn't, that's wow. I forgot how to talk
Bring
there
the
for a second.
tissues, ladies and gentlemen, and the lotion, because Andy's going to need it.
It's it's not so much because I have so much to talk about. It's because I am so bad at explaining myself, and I draw my answers out so long that it could be a 3.5 hour long
What we're saying is I
podcast.
need to bring like the Jeopardy theme song preloaded.
Yes.
Okay.
A 3.5 hour loop of it.
In 44 words or less, do you like your dad? Do, 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 do.
Oh, Jesus. 44 words?
That wouldn't take very long.
Oh my God.
I think we could stick under 3 hours if you could just stick to 44 words and answer.
Oh, shit.
I'm pretty sure you couldn't
I'd
fit
have to.
crawdad hunting into less than 44 words.
Oh, man. Dude, I could talk so long about crawdad hunting. Different techniques
Oh my lord.
to use.
For anybody out there who's
different
still
foods.
listening, anybody out there who's still listening and doesn't know really anything about crawdad hunting, you had a blessed childhood and just keep it that way. Don't worry about it. Unimportant.
No, you had a shit childhood. If you don't know about Camp Sagapit, then your life sucked when you were a kid.
Your life
Dude,
sucks.
Camp Sagmont in right outside of Joplin, Missouri.
Dude, don't
the
tell
most
people where
dangerous.
it is. I want to buy it one day.
They can Google Camp Sagmont and find it.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. You guys don't know about fucking Google. Anyway, Camp Sagmont right outside of Joplin, Missouri, the place that Steven's going to buy. Also right down the road from Crazy Debbie's Fireworks. The most dangerous, most amazing piece of dirt in the world. They have hills that are 89.5 degrees. They have it's the oldest, it's older than God, this place. And it's the most amazing place I've ever been to in my entire life. I went there every year as a kid. I worked there every year as soon as I was too old to go there. It was amazing. Love that place.
It is amazing.
Mm-hmm. I always thought it was bullshit that the girls' dorm had freaking AC, natural AC from the bear cave.
Yeah, that was pretty handy. Dude, I would seriously have like a man cave in there. I'm not even kidding. If I won the lottery, that place,
Dude.
you'd have a hard time getting me out of there.
I got to go down there once, only one time.
We went down repeatedly, but it was never by invitation.
All right, well, hour and 20 minutes, 25 seconds. I think this has gone on far enough. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is my brother-in-law,
We're
Steven.
breaking up so
Little
bad.
glimpse into his life.
All right, we better wrap it up,
Well,
man.
You're going to wrap it up? All right, well, let me give him the internet stuff. You can find us on Twitter at the LRW
Can't decide if
Podcast.
you're doing that on purpose.
You can find us on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Left Right Wrong Podcast. You can find us on YouTube at Frayed Not Productions. That's FRAYEDKNOT Productions. The show is Left Right Wrong Podcast. I know I've said that about 50 times. My name is Andy.
Lord.
Well, I don't know what happened. But, yep, that's it right there. My phone call just dropped. So, it's just me now. So, like I said, my name's Andy. And I'm Steven. And this is the Left, Right, and Wrong Podcast. Peace out.